Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Hope you were able to work on your goals today. I hope you were able to move forward today. If you weren't, it might be advisable to start doing that in your life. Moving forward will make life much easier for yourself. Now, I'm going to start this up in a using a little bit of sports. University of Tennessee last year was exceedingly loyal to Joe Milton. Joe Milton was quarterback for the football team, and yes, he had come from another school, but he had come to the University of Tennessee and he had shown his loyalty at the University of Tennessee. He had stayed on when he had lost the top spot, and he had talent, but the application of that talent wasn't always there. Now, they could have, when it was his time to come back in as the primary quarterback, they could have gone, well, you're not doing what we had last year. We've got another quarterback here that probably can do that. So we're not going to let you stay on as the head quarterback. But they didn't. They showed loyalty to him. Think about that for a second. Loyalty. We don't have that in all aspects of life nowadays. And we need that. That's one of the things going on in this life. When I watch everything nowadays, I don't see that. Now, the Democrats usually show some loyalty, but not really. You have to follow along with their little narratives, or they're not going to let you stay in positions. They're going to fight you every step of the way. But you take a look at what the University of Tennessee did. Yes, we didn't have as much of a winning season as what we had had the year before under Hendon Hooker. But we showed loyalty. And to be perfectly honest with you, in the sports world, that is strange. It really is. For the college sports world, which they want people to win every game and all this, or you get rid of the coaches or whatnot, that loyalty, in my opinion, was a good thing. And that's something that we need to have more of. The conservative movement has a bunch of folks in it that are supposedly conservative, and I don't care if you agree with me or disagree with me, but they do things that I will be watching them going, why are these people being the voice of our movement? Now, you take a look at the argument between Candace Parker and Ben Shapiro. Okay, I can understand that the two of them had a falling out. I can understand when that happens. Personalities, at times, there will be conflicts with personalities. But Ben Shapiro and her had a mutual understanding on letting her go. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's not like that Candace Parker needed Ben Shapiro. Once it was shown what she could do, she didn't really need Ben Shapiro. And she's now out there able to chart her own path, and a couple of things that I've seen that she's done. Hey, she's been loyal to the cause, her and Ben Shapiro had a falling out. Okay, fine. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us have to sit there and not be loyal to her or to Ben Shapiro. They both have their what they're interested in and what drives them. But it doesn't mean that you can't stay loyal to them. They both neither one of them have stopped being what they were before. There are certain politicians that you know what they're doing. They haven't changed in the way that they do things. And so they're still solid people. While I have problems with what Mike Johnson has done, and I'm not saying that you need to stay loyal to somebody after what he's done because he hasn't shown a lot of loyalty, there are others that aren't being given a chance because the Republican Party, being the big tent party that it is, refuses to allow these people who are loyal to the conservative cause to have the chance that they do. Can we get to the point where these people have the ability to show what they can do? Yes. That takes me and you being loyal, no joke, being loyal to them and working with them to get into a position in which they have the chance to show what they can do. That means the primaries. We need to quit caring about the big flashy stuff that our modern politics has. We need to get to the point that we actually pay attention to what these people can do, what their values are, what they are willing to do, you know, those things that we say that we value. Instead, you have a whole bunch of conservatives out there who sit there and go for the flash in the pans, those that can sound good when it comes to all the speeches and everything. They're a Ken doll. Seriously. They're a Ken doll or a Barbie doll. They look good for the cameras. They know how to say the right things because hey, they're an actor. But when it comes down to them actually doing something, they don't actually show loyalty to us. And we need to change that. We need to get folks that are going to show loyalty to us. And if they do something that's a little odd, we need them to communicate with us. And if they're willing to communicate with us as to the reason they did something, and here's the thing. I have actually heard politicians go, this is the reason I voted for this particular thing. And it was for their district. They were showing loyalty to their district. Sometimes showing loyalty to the district means that they vote differently than what the mainstream conservative movement wants. That's showing loyalty to the people that voted them in. They're not showing loyalty to a national stage. They're showing loyalty for the locals. And that showing loyalty for the local side is far more important. When you get elected as a U.S. representative, your job is not to be the representative for the greater movement. Your loyalty is supposed to be for who you represent. You're not supposed to be a leader. You're supposed to be a representative. You're supposed to be the voice of those folks in your district. We may not always understand that, but that's a good thing. That means that the folks in their district are going to be able to trust who they voted for. Now, later on, it might come out that somebody did something a little odd, but with the media the way it is today, the media keeps coming up with these storylines. They make a big deal out of things that truly aren't a big deal. But because it doesn't follow along their narrative, or the person that they're attacking is against their narrative, they're going to make things up, or they're going to make a mountain out of a molehill just to get rid of this person. And there are so many times that we believe the media, a media that has proven itself to not be looking after our best interest. They're looking after the best interest of the Democrat Party. Well, if you want the Republican Party to be worth something, you have to show some loyalty to it. Or you have to show loyalty to conservatives. Because the conservatives, saying conservative and saying Republican Party, everybody seems to think that that's synonymous. It isn't. The Republican Party and the Libertarian Party isn't a party that is monolithic like the Democrat Party. The Republican Party is, and the Libertarian Party, are those folks who aren't Democrat. Right now, in this country, that's what we have. We have the Democrat Party, which is exceedingly monolithic. They're after the same goal, and they push the people that are willing to fight for the goals of the Democrat Party. Republican Party as a whole does not have goals. Supposedly it does, but it doesn't really. I mean, look at it. You have different voices. You have folks within the Republican Party who, interestingly enough, are pretty much liberal. You have middle of the roaders. Those folks that look at different issues, and if it's a social issue, may look at it one way, but as when it comes to financial matters, they look at things in a way that you would consider conservative. But the social issues, they might be liberal on. That's the Republican Party right now. That's the party that you've got. There is no party looking after your freedom in this country. There's some folks that are looking after your freedom on certain issues, but they're not looking after your freedom in other issues. We need to start finding those people that we can be loyal to, that are loyal to us, that we may not agree with everything. And you're saying, well, let's compromise. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of choices. You have to see what people are out there. You have to look at how they're getting voted into office. I always hearken back to Paul Ryan's district. Paul Ryan literally was getting voted in a district that it required him to get voted in, or he had to have Democrats voting for him. Even after you had all the Republicans voting for him, he still needed Democrats to vote him in. To get him into office, that's what had to happen. He had to be able to be palatable by a certain group of Democrats. That was the only way to get him elected. And we've allowed the Democrats to have so much power in this country that that is the situation. It really is. We've allowed our media to get taken over because so many folks don't want to watch, don't want to support those that are willing to give you the real news. Oh, well, I disagree with this person on this issue. Well, I can't follow them. Now, I will tell you this much. If it's an issue on Israel and the person is supporting Palestine, you won't see me supporting them. Why? Because I understand the situation in Palestine. And from my understanding, I don't agree with what the Palestinians are or any of it. I'm not a supporter of Palestine. I am going to back those Jewish students that have sat there and got attacked by their own school, by their fellow students. I'm going to support those Jewish students. If you don't like me for that, okay, well, turn it off right now. Say, nope, I'm not going to follow this person anymore. But that's what I'm going to do. I don't care if you don't appreciate it, because I have been around folks who are Jewish in this country, and I have enjoyed my time around them far more than I have enjoyed being around folks that support the Palestinian movement. They were never a country. Palestine has been an area. Israel was the original country there. Then Rome took it over like they did so many other areas. And when Rome divided, it went to the Byzantines. And they kept control of it. And then Turkey, it became the Ottoman Empire. And that area, or that nation, had control of it. And then British, but the Jews found a way to regain control of their homeland. Despite what the Christians did, despite what the Muslims did, the Jews were able to take back their homeland. I have respect for that. They constantly get attacked. You take a look at what happened in Russia over the centuries. You take a look at what happened all over Europe over the centuries. Yet the Jewish people kept being there. Heck, you take a look at what happened in America over our time of being here. The Jews weren't treated very well at the beginning of our country. But there are those of us who have had friends who have been Jewish, and we're willing to show them loyalty. And I guess that there are those that claim to be conservative who are willing to show loyalty to the Palestinians. Don't know why, but they are. But take a look at those folks that attempt to work within the political environment. And I'm not talking Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson could quite literally have gotten rid of a lot of stupidity, but he didn't. He chose to not vote for freedom for the people of this country. That I won't show loyalty to, because that's not showing loyalty. If he's supposedly conservative, he should be fighting for freedom. I don't see where he's fighting for freedom. Honestly, I don't. Somebody said, well, Trump says he's a good man. And I haven't had a reason to show loyalty to Trump. I am not, while I agree with some of the things that Trump says, he started out not even way back. He was originally a Democrat. He was a Democrat for a long time. He switched over to the Republican Party, and yes, he did amazing for the economy. I will give him that. He did amazing for the economy. But there were a few things that happened under his administration that he possibly could have stopped. Actually, I know for a fact, as president, he could have stopped. But it didn't happen. And, in my opinion, those things that he allowed, civil asset forfeiture program that was signed under Sessions, and now, mind you, I've never used a bump stock. I do not honestly believe that I would ever want to own a bump stock, nor would I want to have a firearm that's got one. That's not the point. That was banned under Trump. Now, did he do other things that were good for this country? Yes. He did a lot of good things for this country. But still, now, am I saying don't vote for Trump? No. Out of all the candidates that we're going to have this year, we have two that are viable candidates. Two people who will actually, and when I say viable, actually will have the chance of getting elected. Kennedy will not be able to be elected. He will be a spoiler at the very least, or at the very most, he will be a spoiler. Whoever the Libertarian candidate is doesn't stand a chance. Why? Because the Libertarian Party won't do the work that is necessary, nor do they stand loyal to one another themselves for the presidential election to be anything but a way for them to say, hey, we're here. They don't stand a chance to being elected. Now, if they could get people elected as libertarians, people who have never been Republican or Democrat, if they could get libertarians elected to Congress, yes, there are obstacles, but guess what? They could do it, but they haven't because they are too inept. So the libertarians are not going to get elected. The Green Party, the Communist Party, none of them are going to get somebody elected to be president of the United States. The Republican Party and the Democrat Party, as it stands, are the only two political parties that we have that actually can get somebody elected to the United States. Joe Biden is not somebody that I can vote for. Trump, for all his problems, for all the disagreements that I have with the man, is a far better choice than anybody in the Democrat Party. Now, 4 years ago, I actually made the comment that I would actually have voted for Tulsi Gabbard if she was running as a Democrat. Why? Because she understood freedom. I may not have agreed with every stance that she has, but she was a far better choice, in my opinion, at the time, because she didn't have the baggage the others did. Plus, she was willing to go in the line of fire for this country. She was willing to stand up for freedom. And then it was just proven, it was proven when she left the Democrat Party that she did what she did for the betterment of the people of this country, not for the betterment of the Democrat Party. She showed that. And it's like, okay, so my liking of her actually was worthwhile. I don't agree with all of her stances, and I'm glad that I took a liking to her. But the only person that we have running this time around on that has a chance of becoming president that is worth voting for, in my opinion, is Donald Trump. Does that mean that I like him? Not all the time. There are some things I guess I can like him on. I don't know. But he's going to work towards helping the economy. Right now, our biggest problem is the economy. We've got a government that is spending way too much money on way too much garbage. We are supporting things via Congress that we have no business supporting, and we've got a Congress that isn't voting for freedom. FISA warrants, the just general laws that they continuously pass. And there are folks that are Republican that show no love for anything conservative. You take a look at Mitt Romney. Most of the time, take a look at Lindsey Graham. Mike Johnson, who normally was conservative, when it mattered, didn't vote in a conservative or freedom-loving way with the FISA warrants. Now, the bills to support all these countries, far more complicated of a matter. Do we let BRICS have the power in this world? I don't believe that we should allow BRICS to have power in this world. I don't agree with Chinese. I don't agree with Russia. Brazil is showing to be a country I can't agree with. India, half the time, I don't know what they're doing. I think that a lot of their choices, I think a lot of India's choices is more because they're anti-British. Honestly, I think that they can't choose to side with the British because, well, look at what the Brits did to them. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I ain't a big fan of the British to begin with myself. And as for South Africa, yeah, I'm not even going to go into the weirdness that is going on inside of South Africa. And then when you look it up, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and United Arab Emirates are also part of BRICS. Ethiopia is just trying to do better for itself. Ethiopia keeps getting kicked. Every chance that stupidity can happen, it happens in Ethiopia. I think they're just trying to go a different path. Honestly. I'm not saying that they're trying to do good or bad. I think Ethiopia is just trying to have things go differently for them, so they're trying different things. So I'm going to go with them. I'm not going to go be in agreement with them being on part of BRICS. Then you got Egypt. I mean, the home of the Muslim Brotherhood. So much bad. And then Iran. I don't think any of us have to argue about Iran. And United Arab Emirates. And they're kind of the odd person out, but at the same time, I think what they're doing isn't so much that they're against anything BRICS or for the normal way of doing things. I think that they've just seen an opportunity and they're doing it. But BRICS as a whole, as an entire organization, no, I don't want to see them succeed. I don't want China and Russia to succeed. And that's what would happen if we allowed BRICS the power that they want. So we either put up or shut up in this country. But I'm not a happy person when it comes to giving that amount of money for anything. It just, maybe it's just the redneck in me. But no, I don't think that we should be spending that amount of money. That's just, with as much debt as we have in this country, I don't think we should be spending that amount of money. This country has elected people who are financially irresponsible for so long, and we are in so much debt that we have to change our habits. But we keep electing people who are financially irresponsible, and these folks get a bigger voice, while those folks that are willing to work towards having better financial situations go by the wayside. I mean, honestly, Ron Paul would have made a better president at the time that he was running than any of the other choices. Look it up. Look at who he was running against and tell me that he couldn't have been the better choice. Right now, the best choice economically, and we have to get our economic house in order. That is what I am looking at. Right this minute, we have to get our economic house in order. The best person that can do that right this minute is Donald Trump. But here's the thing. He's only got 4 more years in office. Legally, he can only be president for 4 more years. That's it. So who's going to come after Donald Trump? Who are we going to support? Are you going to listen to Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump, yes, can make a suggestion. But right this minute, I'm not looking at what his choice is. I'm looking to see who can step up that has the ability to understand freedom, that has the ability to understand that economics is an important part of freedom, that is willing to fight for our freedom, and there are a few people that are out there. We have to decide what is important. We have to decide if we're willing to allow ourselves to research who is next. Don't allow other people to make your decision on who you support. Do your research. Be loyal. There are those that deserve your loyalty. Now, if you say that Donald Trump deserves your loyalty, support him. By all means, I have no problems with you supporting Donald Trump. I have my thought processes, you have your thought processes, and if you are loyal to somebody, be loyal to somebody. Seriously. I talked about that before. University of Tennessee could have probably won more games from the looks of it by having the current person who is quarterback having been quarterback last year. But instead, because Joe Milton showed loyalty to the University of Tennessee, the University of Tennessee was loyal to him. Ooh, we didn't win all the games that we possibly could have won because of that loyalty. Okay, fine. We showed loyalty. We still went to a bowl game. We still had a winning season. But a little bit of cost came at being loyal. I don't mind that. Who are you loyal to? Think about that. When you do something, who are you loyal to? You know, I hear about some of these folks that didn't do anything bad. They did something that was stupid, but it wasn't bad, and people lose their loyalty to them. Oh, this person did this, and I'm just sitting there listening to these folks, and I'm not going to give any examples because that would get into whole kinds of arguing. So we're going to stick to generics on this particular thing. If somebody didn't break the law, if somebody did something that was basically stupid, but that was the end of it, they made a mistake, you losing loyalty to them because they did everybody does something stupid. Look in your own life. I am pretty certain that you've done something stupid. I know for a fact I have. So, why are you listening to mainstream media when they announce, oh, this person did something? And then add on top of the fact is that a lot of times there are things that are getting blown out of proportion. Because it fits the narrative to blow it out of proportion. This isn't, if it comes across that a Republican defended Planned Parenthood and their selling of body parts, yes, I will be against that person 100%. End of story. I don't support Planned Parenthood, and if I find out that there is somebody who is Republican who I was supporting that was supporting Planned Parenthood, I am going to say no. End of story. I'm going to say no to that person. But if a person, I'm trying to think of something. Okay, as the University of Tennessee football fan, we're going to go with something a little less. I'm because of the different things. Say, as a University of Tennessee fan, I come across that there is somebody who I support who's for the University of Alabama. Now, I am not going to like that they support Alabama. Why? Because I'm a Tennessee fan. Tennessee, Alabama, we've got a rivalry. It's not as big as the Alabama-Auburn rivalry, but Tennessee and Alabama have had their rivalry. Matter of fact, Bear Bryant hated to come to the University of Tennessee up to Knoxville to play against University of Tennessee. He had some bad luck when it came to playing at Neyland Stadium. But it wasn't Neyland Stadium when he was coming up here. It was Shields-Watkins. And it got renamed to Neyland. because Bear Bryant was playing against General Neeland. Actually, if you look at the time frame, technically, Bear Bryant played against Major Neeland. So I'm going to question some of the life choices of somebody who is supporting University of Alabama. I am saying that because it makes a lot more sense than to bring up all the other issues. Because I could bring up an issue and somebody will sit there and argue with me, and it'll turn into a whole argument thing. So I'm going to go with something slightly silly. Yes, I love me some college sports. It is not the end all be all, but I started out this program using something that happened within college sports, so I'm going to keep using that. But we also have those folks that are allowed power within the conservative movement that don't show that same loyalty. They support China or they support Russia in ways, and they are willing to show support for those things that the Democrats want that are bad for this country. Because they can get on TV and be heard, and they think that that's the end all be all. Are they doing things so that they can get that job on TV for millions of dollars, or are they doing things that are what's good for freedom and what's good for this country? Are they being loyal to a cause, or are they looking out for themselves because they don't care about us? They care about those things like getting on television. They care about those things like getting that big time lobbying position. Now, some of the folks are listening to their aides. The congressional aides have a lot of power. A lot of people don't pay attention to what the congressional aides do. Congressional aides have a lot of power. And if you take a look at all of these congressional aides, especially the ones that end up going to become lobbyists and other such positions because they were those in those positions of power, it will put a lot more things in perspective. But here's the thing that also shows the intelligence of the member of Congress. If a member of Congress is not willing to pay attention to what their aides are doing or how good of the advice that their aides are giving them, then that shows that they don't actually care about anything except for getting their votes and getting into the positions that they think will allow them to go past everything. You have to pay attention to those people that work for you. We need members of Congress who are standing up for freedom, that are showing loyalty to this country. And yes, freedom is how you show, fighting for freedom is how you show liberty, how you show loyalty to this country. Anybody who is in the Democrat Party is not showing loyalty to this country. They're showing loyalty to the Democrat Party. Democrat Party doesn't do anything that's good for this country. They do what's good for them and their revolution. And yes, that's what they're attempting to do. They're trying to keep a revolution going that they should have stopped a long time ago. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is up to you and I to stop that. It is. It's up to you and I to stop that revolution, to look them dead in the eye and go, hey, liberalism did some good, but you're not doing liberal ideals anymore. You're doing the ideals of Marx and Engels. You're doing the ideals of Mao. You're doing the ideals of Stalin. And that's up to you and I to take care of. And if we're not doing that, then what are we doing as a conservative movement? Instead of arguing with ourselves about the little things, we need to focus on what's important. We've got avenues to fight everything. But we're fighting among ourselves over some petty crap. We're trying to be a pop culture movement instead of being a real movement for freedom. Freedom isn't pop culture. Freedom is how we can go through life every day doing better for ourselves and for those around us. It is not a constant revolution. All you have to do is hold the line for freedom. We need to do that. We need to focus on freedom. I may not be popular because I push these things, but you know what? I'm going to keep pushing these things. Freedom is our primary goal in this country as a conservative movement. All the rest of the stuff is a pop culture thing. Who you choose to elect at the end of the day is going to go down for history, but it's not going to go down necessarily towards that goal unless that person is all in on freedom. Don't pick somebody because they can talk good. Pick somebody who's actually understanding of what it takes for freedom. Be loyal to them and make sure that they're loyal to you. And guess what? It'll all work out in the end. But we've got to show loyalty to those who are showing loyalty to us and our freedom. There are peripheral issues, but at the end of the day, we need to work to get people in there that understand that getting rid of the debt that this country has is necessary for our freedom so that we can't be dictated to by the countries that own our debt. We need to have folks that understand that freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, all these things, right to bear arms, all of this is far more important than the narrative that is done by mainstream media. I don't want to elect somebody who's getting up there and making sure that they're able to get airtime on CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, or any of these other stations. I'm wanting people that understand that freedom is not going to make them popular. I want people that are elected to office that understand that not voting for some pop culture topic of the time and spending money on it may not make them it may not make them popular, but it shows that they're loyal to this country because they're standing in the way of a bunch of debt that this country doesn't need. Once we get our financial house in order, sure, every now and then we vote for something that it's a good thing to vote for and it's worth voting for, and we have the ability to pay for it at the time. Right now, we can't afford to constantly vote for things like that. We really don't. We need to get rid of our debt. When you're in as much debt as this country is, I mean, it's indescribable for most people. Seriously, look at how much debt that this country has and try to imagine it. Most people can't imagine that level of money because it's not imaginable. Now, we've got to determine what our values are. If it's for freedom, hey, keep listening to me. I'll help you find ways to get to the point that we can handle that. But if it isn't freedom, then you're not going to enjoy listening to me because I'm going to harp on those things to bring freedom. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I could keep going. But I'm going to let you go for the day. I hope you're doing good. And I will talk at you later. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Have a good day.